welcome to T Certified TV, and today I will be giving the viewers a brief breakdown of the movie Avatar. I will be pointing out important scenes, conversations, imagery, and key details about the movie Avatar. The movie was released in 2009 and it grossed billions of dollars at the box office. Now, the movie Avatar is about white people leaving their own land and trespassing on a planet called Pandora. Now, Pandora's atmosphere is poisonous to humans, and on Pandora, there's an indigenous tribe called the Na'vi tribe. So, an avatar is a clone Na'vi indigenous person.
Me and Norma here to drive these remotely controlled bodies called avatars, and they're grown from human DNA mixed with the DNA of the natives.
Damn, they got big.
Yeah.
Looks like him.
Looks like you. This is your avatar now, Jake.
The concept is that every driver is matched to his own avatar so that their nervous systems are in tune.
In order to drive the suit, you must transfer your consciousness from your own body into the avatar. Now, side note, I want you guys to go and look at this episode called Black Mirror. And it's about pretty much people transferring their consciousness. So make sure you check that out. Only humans can drive avatars. When the movie first come on, all the humans have on masks due to an ongoing pandemic on Earth. So listen carefully to the news talking about cloning tigers because they went extinct.
The Bengal tiger, extinct for over a century, is making a comeback. These clone tiger cubs at the Beijing Zoo are the latest of a number of species that have been cloned back into existence in the past 5 years.
Jake, who is the main character, is an ex-Marine who was paralyzed from the waist down. Jake goes to a bar and he gets into a bar fight due to a woman getting slapped by some dude. Now, I don't know if this chick was a friend, his wife, I have no idea. But they ended up throwing him out into the alley. So while he's lying there in the alley, he is approached by these two strange looking men. And they wanted to verify if he was the person that they was looking for. So these dudes, well, these strange men tell Jake that his brother has died and that they needed him to take the spot due to them being identical twins and having the same genetic makeup. So they also explained to Jake that his brother was a part of this Avatar program. So once Jake finished listening to the men, he accepts the offers and then he goes to Pandora, which it takes about 6 years to make it there. So notice when Jake makes it to Pandora, it's like really green and nice. And the main base for the white people is already mechanized. Also, if you look closely, you can see the indigenous people were hitting the trucks. Well, they was hitting the truck wheels with their arrows. As soon as Jake arrived, he was informed about the Na'vi people. Now, notice what was being said about the Na'vi people to Jake.
We have an indigenous population of humanoids called the Na'vi. They're fond of arrows dipped in a neurotoxin that'll stop your heart in 1 minute. And they have bones reinforced with naturally occurring carbon fiber. They are very hard to kill.
Grace, who is the head scientist in charge, had a conversation with Parker, who is the head person in charge of the whole mission. So listen to what they're talking about.
Moron out there.
Look, you're supposed to be winning the hearts and the minds of the natives. Isn't that the whole point of your little puppet show? You look like them and you talk like them and they'll start trusting us.
We build them a school, we teach them English, but after what, how many years? Relations with the indigenous are only getting worse.
Yeah, that tends to happen when you use machine guns on them.
The only reason why white foreigners are even on Pandora is to collect some type of rock or mineral which is worth money.
This is why we're here. Unobtainium. Because this little gray rock sells for 20 million a kilo. That's the only reason. It's what pays for the whole party. It's what pays for your science. Comprendo? Now those savages are threatening our whole operation.
And Parker said it best. He said cheddar.
Look at all that cheddar.
The mineral that they want is located underneath the Na'vi village, which is a tree. And in order to get all of that rock, BKA cheddar, the white foreigners must first knock down the village. Now, did anyone notice that Jake Avatar had a long braid? Now, Colonel Miles tells Jake that he needs to report back to him so he could find out a way to force the Nave people to cooperate, or he just gonna hammer them hard if they don't. Right after Miles make that statement, he then offers Jake back his legs when he returned home. Jake agrees to the offer, and now you can see all the white foreigners heading towards the forest. Now, when they made it to the forest, they walked into an abandoned school, and in the midst of that, they was collecting samples from Pandora. Now, here's when the crew gets attacked, and Jake gets lost due to them fleeing from the animals on Pandora. So Jake tries to find his way back to the base, but he get approached by the wild indigenous dogs. This where he encounters Naturi, who is the daughter of a Nave chief. Naturi saves Jake and snaps on him.
Hey, slow down. Wait up, I just want to say thanks for killing those things. Ah! Damn!
Don't thank. You don't thank for this. This is sad. Very sad only.
Okay, I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I am sorry.
Well, this is your fault. They did not need to die.
My fault. They attacked me. How am I the bad guy?
Your fault!
Hey, woo.
Your fault!
Jake then becomes surrounded by the seeds of the secret tree, which are considered very pure spirits. Now, Naturi takes Jake back to her village, which is a Nave village. Notice how the Nave people have braids, beads, and feathers also. Now, the Nave people look just like the American Indians to me. So, Jay makes it to the village and he gets questioned by the Nave chief. Instead of killing Jake, Naturi trained Jake so that he could understand their ways of living. So once the Nave tribe accepted Jake as their own, they sat down and they ate amongst each other. Just check it out. Just look at it. And I also pointed out this scene because I wanted you all to notice how the families slept with each other and the single people slept alone. So once Jake is asleep, his consciousness goes back into his original body. Every time the driver's suit loses his consciousness, the driver goes back into their original bodies every single time. So Jake returns to base and he reports what has happened. I want you all to hear Parker talk about how the foreigners have tried to give the Nave people medicine, education, and roads, but the Nave people just didn't want nothing from them.
10 more like you.
Look, Sully, just find out what the blue monkeys want. You know, I mean, we tried to give them medicine, education, roads, but no, they like mud.
So, Parker and Miles then give Jake 3 months to find a way to make the Nave people listen. And I want you guys to listen to the description of the Nave tribe goddess.
He's the clan leader, but she's the spiritual leader, like a shaman.
Got it.
Sute.
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 He'll be the next clan leader.
And Tiri.
She'll be the next Sahik. They become a mated pair.
So who's this Awa?
Who's Awa? Only their deity. Their goddess made up of all living things. Everything they know.
Jake goes back in his avatar to start his training. During this time, he is learning how to hunt, fly, and ride all of the indigenous animals. To sum it up, Jake is being shown how to survive in Pandora and to survive as one of the Nave people. So he goes to sleep and now he is reporting back and he's giving the foreigners in-depth insight of the Nave tribe in the village.
You want to hit this thing, it's going to be complicated. Your scan doesn't show the internal structure.
There's an outer row of columns. Real heavy duty. There's a secondary ring here and an inner ring. There's a core structure like a spiral. That's how they move up and down.
We're gonna need accurate scans on every column.
Roger that.
What else can you tell us about the structure?
I'm guessing this secondary ring, that's also load-bearing.
This next scene is is the most important scene of the whole movie. And this is a scene that everyone overlooks and they shouldn't. Now, Naturi gives Jake a brief breakdown on the skeletal remains of the big bird that was chasing them.
Our guys call it a greatly Inopteryx.
It is Toruk, last shadow. My grandfather's grandfather was Toruk Makto.
Rider of Last Shadow. Toruk chose him. It has only happened 5 times since the time of the first songs. Ukmakto was mighty. He brought the clans together in a time of great sorrow.
As soon as Jake makes it 3 months, he finishes training and Naturi takes him to the place for prayers to be heard and answered, also known as the Tree of Voices. While there, Naturi tells Jake that he must find a woman to mate with, and he run game on her knowing she was already chosen to mate with Sutei. So they fall asleep after they mate, and while asleep, a demolition truck comes to start to plow through the Nave forest, and the white people destroy the Tree of Voices. Now, Jake was still on base, but when he returned to his avatar, he seen the white people destroying everything. So he jumps on the truck and he takes out all the cameras on there. Now, due to the white people acts, the Nave decide to fight back and protect their home. So a fight erupts between the young leaders Sutei and Jake. Sutei knows what is happening, and he knows that everything that is happening is Jake's fault. So in the midst of them fighting, Naturi stops the fight to protect Jake from being killed. Miles hit the emergency switch, which brought back Jake to his regular body. Now the foreigners are planning on finishing destroying the village by any means necessary. Back at base, Jake talks everyone into letting him go back into his avatar to try to work things out, and they give him an hour.
Let's go.
You know, they never even wanted us to succeed. They bulldozed a sacred site on purpose to trigger a response. They're just fabricating this war to get what they want.
This is how it's done. When people are sitting on shit that you want, you make them your enemy. And then you're justified in taking it.
Jake returns, but the Nave wasn't trying to hear nothing that he was trying to say, and they end up holding him and Grace captive. Now, during this time, the white people are destroying the village and everything. So once everything is destroyed, Jake and Grace go back to base and they are arrested. So when you fast forward, they end up being saved by this one girl who was flying one of the planes. And they end up finding a spot close to the Tree of Souls because they knew that that's where Parker was going to hit next, which was the Tree of Souls. So in the midst of Jake trying to figure out how to go back to the Nave tribe, because he knew that that's where they headed to also, was the Tree of Souls. So he came up with a plan to capture the big bird, because he knew that that big bird meant something to the tribe.
I needed their help, and they needed mine. But to ever face them again, I was gonna have to take it to a whole new level. I had it figured. Toruk is the baddest cat in the sky. Nothing attacks him. Easy boy. So why would he ever look up? But that was just a theory.
And what do you know? He ended up capturing that big bird. That is how Jake ended up back into the Nave people good graces. Now listen to this manipulator trying to be a Malcolm X.
Can't do this without you.
Toruk Makto. I will fly with you.
With your permission, I will speak now. You would honor me by translating.
You tell the other clans to come.
You
Tell them Tarik Makto calls to them. You fly now. With me. My brothers. Sisters.
Notice how he's using the youngest leader, Sute, in order to translate because Jake cannot speak the Na'vi language. Now, Jake goes to the Tree of Souls to talk to Edward, asking for her help. And the next day, the battle begins. The battle begins by the Tree of Souls. Just watch. So after the battle is won by the Na'vi people, the next king is dying, who is Sute. But before he dies, he tells Jake to kill him. So Jake says no at first, but then, the leader says go ahead and do it. So, Jake went ahead and did it. He didn't let the guy die. He killed him. So he ended up taking the leader's crown. So once he take his crown, the Na'vi send the white people back to where they came from. And then Jake calls his own kinds alien. He calls them alien. So after all of that, Jake's last ceremony ends with him switching bodies. Now Jake is officially a real living avatar. Now, with all of that being said, this is why I hate this movie. Starting off, not only was Earth overpopulated, it was a pandemic going on also. Not only that, but the tigers were being cloned was kind of ear-catchy to me. So, the Men in Black goes to Jake, who is a white man. Jake goes to Pandora, and the first thing you hear is negativity about the indigenous people. Notice throughout the movie, the white people renamed them multiple times and was racist. Called them savages, blue monkeys, amongst other things. Just listen.
Those savages are threatening our whole operation. Find out what the blue monkeys want.
Mind you, I'm getting all of my information directly from the movie. So the white people came to Pandora to destroy like they did Earth. Look and listen to how they did the Na'vi people of Pandora. They purposely made a fake Na'vi person so they can infiltrate the tribe, and they did succeed at that. The seeds from the secret tree is the only reason why Jake wasn't killed. It took 3 months for his trainer to finish with the tribe and his own kind, which are the white people. They gave him 3 months, which let me know that they already knew it would take 3 months for Jake to finish his training and his mission. Jake purposely betrayed the Na'vi people so he could get his legs back. And the only reason why he didn't go back to Earth with the rest of them was because he manipulated a whole tribe plus more. Now, Jake knew that he could stay in an avatar body forever. And he only knew that because he saw the Na'vi people attempt to save Grace and transfer her body permanently into her avatar. But it didn't work and she died. Well, not even transfer her body, transfer her consciousness into her avatar. But it didn't work. She was too weak, so she ended up dying. Everything on Pandora was pure. Jake is the reason why the white man was able to destroy the village where the Na'vi tribe lived. Not only that, he made it with the tribal leader daughter when she was already supposed to be with Sute. Now, Jake was able to manipulate Natiri. Then he manipulated the whole tribe by getting that big bird. That is why I said that Naturi telling Jake about the bird was a very important scene, because he used that. Listen to what Naturi told Jake again.
To become Aronyu, Hunter, you must choose your own Ikran, and he must choose you.
Zaken Razi!
Baruch Makto, writer of Last Shadow. Daruk chose him. It has only happened 5 times.
Now, to those of you who's going to say that he was chosen by that bird because the bird was chasing him, if you're going to say that, then you might as well say that Naturi was chosen also because the bird was chasing both of them. Listen to Jake say that he knows what he has to do in order to get back into the Na'vi good graces.
I needed their help, and they needed mine. But to ever face them again, I was gonna have to take it to a whole new level.
Most people who watch this movie says that he was great and he captured the bird. Look very closely as to how he was able to get the bird.
The way I had it figured, Taruk is the baddest cat in the sky. Nothing attacks him. Easy boy. So why would he ever look up? But that was just a theory.
Attacked the bird from above because the bird didn't have a reason to look up. That particular bird was the ruler of the sky. Remember how Naturi told Jake,
To become Aronyu, Hunter, you must choose your own Ikran, and he must choose you.
Jake did not, and I repeat, Jake did not get picked by that bird. The Na'vi people are spiritual people who knew that everything was connected to Pandora, which is why the animal had to pick you, which means the animal must make a connection with you. This is not what happened in this case. Jake stole that bird to infiltrate the Na'vi tribe once again. The Na'vi people didn't know how he captured that bird. All they did was saw him come from the sky riding on it. And believe it or not, this is a form of manipulation and lying at its best. That's how he did it. And the next up, tribal leader was killed after the original tribal leader was killed during the battle. And this happens every single time. In order to take over, you must kill the strongest males. And this is what they do. In order for Jake to become the leader, the strongest men of that clan had to die. And Jake was handed the throne. So now a fake Na'vi person is leading a real nation of indigenous people. Throughout the whole movie, the white man stayed on top, whether it was by using planes or capturing the most dangerous birds in the sky. At the end of the movie, the white man was still on top because he infiltrated the indigenous people and became their leader. Now, some of you might say that I'm reaching, but I want you guys to listen to this clip at the end when all the white people go home. And you're going to hear Jake state that he released the bird because he didn't need the bird anymore. And I already told you why he used the bird in the first place. Just listen to me. Well, just listen to the clip.
With great sorrow was ending. Taruk Makto was no longer needed.
I find it very interesting that the white scientists today are still saying the same thing that was said in that movie 13 years ago. The present day government already admitted to cloning sheep in the 1900s. Everyone needs to think. If you were in Jake's shoes, would you go back to a sick planet being able to walk again, or stay on another planet where you can walk but it's not overpopulated and the air is breathable? Everything that the white people did in this movie, they also did to the American Indians. They came over, befriended them, taught them the English language, learned their culture, learned how to survive on the land, seen something within their soil, and decided to forcefully push the indigenous people off their own land. They made it with some American Indian people, destroyed their villages, mechanized their land, and is certainly telling the American Indians that they are black, African American, Negroes, and came from monkeys. It's a whole bunch of other stuff. It's all about control. The white people on Pandora wanted to control the land, and they are certainly doing so in the U.S. as of right now. And think about it. Once Jake and Natiri, once they start to have children, those kids would not be 100% indigenous, but they would have the traits of the Nave people, which is why the children will forever be connected to the tribe. Even though their father would be a fake Nave person, remember, it was stated at the beginning that avatars are half human and half Nave people. This is still going on in the U.S., mixing bloodlines to forever have a certain trait and to have a connection to Turtle Island, aka the U.S. Now, I guarantee if the indigenous people would have sent Jake back, then there would not be no Avatar 2 coming out. If I had the choice to pick who goes back, none of the white people would have made it back. Once you let one go, more tend to come back faithfully every single time. History repeats itself every single time. And in order to stop this from continuously happening, we must wake up and become one with each other. We must unify. Remember what Mao said.
Now, these orbital images tell me that the hostiles' numbers have gone from a few hundred to well over 2,000 in one day, and more are pouring in. In a week's time, there could be 20,000 of them. At that point, they will overrun our perimeter. Well,
keep in mind that the movie Avatar is about the actual definition of an avatar. Jake's avatar. That is why you see Jake at the end of the movie. Make sure to remember this when you're watching Avatar 2. And avatars are different than a Nave person. And with all that being said, thanks for watching T Certified TV. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video. Later.